Welcome to the Peace and Parenting Podcast. I'm Michelle, and I have a lovely guest who is one of my Instagram followers who has a good question about her lovely daughter. So, Danielle, welcome to the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here with you. So I have four children. My oldest is 13 tomorrow.
Oh,
Um, yeah, we are in Pennsylvania. And so this I wrote in because this last year we've just had a huge shift. Huge disconnect between her and I. She used to be my best friend, and this year, and I got when you get to a certain age, you don't need your mom as much, and I understand that, but just a lot of pushing boundaries, a lot of lying, uh just not behaviors that we are used to.
yeah.
And so, as a listener of your podcast, I try so hard to come from a place of understanding and not from a place of punishment. But it didn't always used to be that way. So I feel like that's a big shift for her and I, in the sense that she needs to trust that I'm a safe place. And we don't really have that yet.
Okay, good and fair enough. And thank you for being so honest about that. Tell me how long has it been since you've kind of been trying not to use the punishments and consequences and that kind of thing?
6 months. So when things
Okay.
kind of hit the fan, I was like, something has to change.
Yeah.
And I've been reading a lot of books, listening to podcasts, and everything like that. Um, and my husband and I both like really resonate with your parenting style and everything, that you've had to say in those terms, in the sense that, when you punish, there's just a disconnect. You're not really, um, I'll use the word discipline. You're not really disciplining, because discipline is teaching something, right?
Right.
And so you're not teaching them anything
No.
when you're punishing them.
Well, you're teaching them something, but what are we
Not to
teaching?
trust you. You're teaching them that you're not a safe place.
Right,
Yeah,
or that your mistakes are so grave that you deserve
exactly.
to be punished, or you should, and then it translates into they punish themselves when they get older sometimes. It can all
Yep.
kinds of things, but you already know all that. We don't need to go into that piece really because you know it. I think let's just start with where we're at. So, would you mind telling me, like, some of the things that she's lying about?
Yeah,
And
sure.
yeah.
So the phone is the worst thing in the entire world.
Mm,
So this year, middle school, she's going to be in eighth grade. But like, everybody has Snapchat, everybody has TikTok, everybody has this. And so in the beginning, it was a hard no. And then she came to me and was like, listen, this is how my friends communicate. I don't want to be left out. And that's a big deal for her. That's something that she's brought up over and over and over again. She
mhm,
wants to be normal. Those are
totally.
her words.
Yep.
And so I caved, and it was horrible. There was like bullying on Snapchat from other people. She wasn't telling me about it, but internalizing a lot of these things. And
Mhm,
with Snapchat, it disappears. So there's no like,
mhm.
uh, it doesn't, yeah,
There's no
there's
record of
not.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. And there's not like like, I think in a situation like that, because it's gone, she almost felt like, well, it's gone. There's nothing I can do about it. There's no point in saying anything. So there was that. Um,
So she lied about, tell me what she lied about. She lied about having Snapchat, or she lied about the
she
bullying, or
initially she lied about having Snapchat.
okay.
She was downloading and deleting it on her phone.
Mhm.
And so, we have a rule at night at 9:30, you plug your phone in and it stays there on the counter. We don't do
Okay.
phones in the bedroom. And so she was downloading, deleting it one night, forgot to delete it. And it was
There.
notifications like coming through.
Yeah.
So she was very apologetic. And again, I tried to come from a place of understanding. But after we talked about it, I let her have it. And then this bullying thing happened. I was like, I'm just really not okay with this. And I think we need to take a step back for a little bit. And I wanted to explain to her it has nothing to do like with you doing something wrong. This is not a punishment. Um, but I just don't think, like, my husband and I talked about it, and it's hard because so many kids have these allowances and leniencies to be on social media with no parental supervision. And another thing that I'm gonna talk your ear off, I'm sorry.
You're
Another thing that I read in one of your Instagram posts was that you give your daughter the freedoms to have these things, and I was like, "I really wanna be able to do that," but I feel like she and I don't there's like a I don't wanna say I don't trust her, but at the same time, I have a hard time trusting her because she can be sneaky about things. But in the same breath, I feel like she's sneaky about things because I don't allow these things.
okay,
So
you're
it's like a
getting there,
really
Danielle, you're getting there, you're getting
but it's a
there.
really tough cycle, you know what I
I
mean?
know. Yes,
And
well, the
then you throw boys into the picture, and she's getting to that age, and there were some, I won't say inappropriate messages, but just things that we weren't really comfortable with, and they disappear, you know? So,
yeah. Okay, can we start there?
yes.
Okay, let's start there. So there's something called the super protective power, and
Mm,
researchers have done research on it. I don't know exactly where it is, but you can find it on the internet. But the idea is basically that the most protective thing that we can do for our child is to have a grounded, bonded relationship with them where they trust us and we trust them. That
yeah,
is their super protective power. Taking Snapchat away or giving Snapchat or having rules on the phone or not having rules on the phone or having
yeah,
curfew or those things are great. They're boundaries. But more important than those things is the relationship.
right.
So I think if we can just say, like, okay, that is our goal is to get the relationship in the best place we can possibly get the relationship, the other stuff will come.
Yeah,
Snapchat and TikTok and all these things that listen, none of us like it.
I
It's
know.
not the way we wanna raise our kids. It's not the what we
No,
believe in. They are not our values. However, this is
it's
their
their
world.
whole world right now.
I
Yes.
know. And so to take it from them is it might not feel like a big deal to us, but it is
Oh, it's
monumental
huge.
to a 13, 14-year-old. It is unbelievably it's a huge blow, and as soon as you
Yeah.
take something like that from a child,
But also,
they
like, I gave it to her and then I took it away, which made
so
it
sh
that much worse.
yeah, and so she's really mad, and that really damages
Mhm.
relationship.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want her to have it either. I really don't.
No. And you read books like The Anxious Generation and
I
all
know.
of those things, and it's
I
just, like,
get it.
not aligned with what I want for her. But
No, I get it. However, um,
mhm.
the best thing we can do is give it to them and also be in a place where we can give them guidance they will listen to,
Yeah.
because you're not gonna be able to keep it from her. She's gonna be in high school next a year after
I know.
the year after
Yeah.
this, and there
Yeah.
is no you can't
No.
really tell a high school student I mean, pretty soon you can't tell your teenage kids anything, like, they're gonna do what they are going to do. They
Yeah.
really are. They're either gonna lie
So
to you
the
about it
pushback
or sneak yeah.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, sad, well, things are just gonna be so much worse now. And, like, I don't respect you now, I'm really not gonna respect you. And like, I get that, like, fully and wholeheartedly. And I get really stuck in a place of, like, wanting to keep her safe. And so I was given no rules and boundaries when I was growing up, like, nothing. I lived in Manhattan, on the Upper West Side and got into, like, a lot of trouble. Looking back, I'm very grateful to be alive.
Yeah,
Um, and it was, like, the late '90s, and y we did whatever we wanted to.
totally.
And so I think that I come from a place of, like, well, if I'm involved and if I set rules and if I set boundaries, she won't make those same mistakes that I did. Obviously, the rational part of my brain knows that that's not true, but
It
it's really
isn't
hard
the
not to parent like that.
yeah, and I think if you can reflect on your childhood just a little bit deeper and say, if your parents didn't have rules and boundaries, but they were highly connected to you and involved in your
Yeah,
life,
yeah,
that would have made all the difference. It isn't the rules and the boundaries that you
it's
needed.
true.
You needed connection,
Connection. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. You were just left to run amok.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And lots of people who criticize this type of parenting, they use that analogy. Well, I wasn't given any rules. Some people, right? If they grew up like that. I
Yeah,
wasn't
yeah,
given any rules and boundaries, and so therefore peaceful parenting doesn't work because um it doesn't have any rules and boundaries, and it just lets you do what you want. But it isn't the rules and boundaries that keep us safe. It's the relationship that keeps us safe. So your primary
yeah.
job right now with her is to build relationship at every possible turn you can.
How
It,
do I do that when she is pushing me away? So
yeah,
in the last 6 months, I'm not allowed to hug her anymore, which is like a huge thing. And I understand it's a personal boundary and something that she's doing for control. Um, but even little
yeah.
things like, kiddo, you want to go for a walk or do you want to play a game? No, no, I'm okay.
She's mad at you.
Yeah,
She's mad at you.
yeah,
So we're gonna try to get her not mad at you. Right?
yeah.
We're gonna give her TikTok back. Was it TikTok or Snapchat or whatever?
Both,
Okay,
both.
we're gonna give her both of those back, and when we do, we're gonna have a conversation like, "Hey, these things we're giving you these things because we totally trust you. If something goes awry, please tell us as soon as you can so that we can help you out of it.
Yeah,
Nobody should be bullying you. Nobody should be talking to you unkindly." The other piece with bullying and that some of the stuff that happens socially, part of it is growing pains and learning how
sure.
to navigate your social situation. I'm not condoning bullying by any means.
No, of course. I hear you.
But, you know, I remember, Julie Peterson wrote icky notes about me, and I saw
Yeah,
them on the ground and got them, and she said that I had a fat head and, like, all this stuff, and it was like, you could consider that bullying.
totally.
It
Totally.
happens, and so
Yeah,
you cannot prevent them from experiencing some of these teenage things, but what we can do is be there for them and be their supportive person and say, "Oh my god, that's horrible. I can't believe she said that. I'm so sorry. I wanna be here with you." If they trust us enough with their feelings,
yeah,
that's what we
yeah.
want. But just
So
taking
regaining
away
trust is
yeah,
huge.
but just taking things away and having rules and having boundaries isn't A, gonna keep her safer, and B, is gonna ruin your relationship.
Yeah. Do you put time restrictions on things like, social media and everything like that? Or do you give
Ugh,
them free reign? I know, it's
I
hard,
know, it's
right?
hard. I mean,
Yeah.
I used to give them time restrictions when they were littler. Now I
Mhm.
don't give any time. I have an 18-year-old and a 15-year-old.
Right.
And I just, they need to navigate it, but I always try to offer experiences with me to get them
Mhm.
off of their devices. My one daughter dances 20 hours a week. I don't really worry
Yeah,
about her too much being on her devices. They are also in school 7 hours a day.
I
Like,
know.
they if they have a decent balanced life and you can offer connection for them and they wanna be with you, that's where you wanna get, it will get them also off their device more. They will rather
Yeah.
interact interpersonally than also be on their device.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they need to learn to teach themselves what healthy boundaries are
Sure,
on
absolutely.
their own, and I don't know if when we put them in there artificially, if they're learning where their line is. Now,
Yeah.
I don't mind this, like, 9:30, turn it in and plug it in or whatever.
Yeah.
I also don't know if it's absolutely necessary. I don't know what that's doing. It might also be
In
making her
my head, it's like, she's not gonna get into trouble on her phone because it's plugged in downstairs, and I
not
don't have to
true,
worry about it.
not
I
true. She
know.
can get in trouble at 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would try to
It's
give her as
tough.
much freedom as you can
Mhm.
without feeling totally uncomfortable in your own parenting also, but only you know that line. I
Sure.
I think for now, we give her as much as we can so we can start to gain trust and we can start to gain influence.
I agree completely. It's a huge shift because a lot of the times, I'm sure as you've picked up now, I parent out of fear. I worry about, something happening that hasn't necessarily even happened yet. So I have these boundaries in place to protect her from something that may not happen. And
Or do you
so,
have the boundaries in place to protect you from your fear?
yes, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So and, my husband is the type of person who is like, "Oh, whatever, it's okay." He's supportive, but at the same time, he's like, they can do whatever they want. But
Well,
not like, not in a way that's like, I don't know. That probably came off the wrong way. He is not worried at all about anything. So he's very much like go with the flow. And so I feel like in a way I have to compensate for his lack of worry by worrying enough for everybody.
no,
Um,
worrying's no good for anyone.
I Yeah, I know,
Yeah.
I know. But it's tough because, my other 3 are younger, 7, 5, and 2, and so I feel like connecting with them when there has been a disconnect, like if, I yell or if something happens, a sibling fight or something like that, it's much easier to find connection with them.
Yes.
Um, Whereas my daughter now, it's really hard to find ways to like, pull her out of her shell or like,
Yeah.
that feels like connection that's simple, like she doesn't really want to like bake cookies with me anymore, like paint our nails together, things like
I
that.
would So maybe trying to just get into her world, like, "Oh my
Oh,
gosh, tell me about what's the coolest thing you saw on TikTok today?" Like, I had to do my 18-year-old was in here looking for stuff for her dorm, and she made me do TikToks with her today at 18.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
"Mom, you know the words to this one, you can do it." Like, I think doing things that they wanna do, whatever they're interested in, and really
yeah,
sitting in her room and being on her bed with her and asking if you can just sit there and read your book or asking if you can just sit there and be near her and ask her what she's
just
doing and what
be.
she's Mhm. It
Yeah,
doesn't have to be
and
a
work
big
on
activity.
rebuilding that trust. Yeah,
Every day I would get in her room with her and just be, and if she tells you to get out, you can say, "Okay, but I'm coming back later because I need to be with you. I've missed you so much, and I'll come back later," and just keep
yeah,
coming, keep being, and at the same time giving her some more freedoms with
yeah,
your support. Like, don't keep your eye off her.
I know.
Don't let her just run amok. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that at all. Give her the freedoms, but be there.
hmm,
Know
yeah,
what she's into. Know who she's talking to on Snapchat. Is her
yeah,
map on? Do you want her map off? Is she in the map with just her friends? Like, do we understand exactly how she's using Snapchat?
yeah. And it's really just to talk to her friends. We did have the blip with the I don't want to call it inappropriate. It was just something that like really wasn't comfortable for us, and she felt that it wasn't comfortable too, but she didn't really know how to get herself out of it after it had happened. And I understand that I'm being really vague, but it was like a boyfriend. She I guess middle school boyfriends are not really a huge deal, but a labeled boyfriend at that time talking to them on Snapchat, and they said something about like kissing um later, like one day, I can't wait to
Planning
do
a
this.
kiss at some
Yes.
point.
And so
Okay.
like
Well, that
and
seems pretty kind of age appropriate.
innocent, sure. And that's what I said to my husband. I was like, it's normal to have these feelings at this age. But he was like, I don't want her talking to him like that. And the messages disappear. What else is she saying that we don't know? And she's not a bad kid. She's always
No.
been a rule follower. Like she's always, like I said, up until this year when the bullying and she kept that from us, I think that that was a huge shift for her and she
Yeah.
internalized a lot of that. Um,
Sweet
and I
girl.
still really haven't been able to talk to her fully about that. It comes out in pieces, usually
Mm.
displaced anger when she's mad at me.
Mhm,
And then it'll
mhm,
be like, I just want to be normal. I so and so said this, and like that's when it comes out.
mhm.
So it's
Sweet
hard,
girl.
and I don't really know how to help her through that when she doesn't feel safe talking to me right now.
She'll get there, Danielle, she will. I think you've gotta start really building the relationship and make that your focus for, like, 2 weeks. That's all you're gonna focus on. You're not gonna focus on the rules and the boundaries and that stuff so much. You're gonna give her back her social medias. I don't know if I would check her phone too much just for a little bit. Just let her
Yep,
have her By the way, there's conversations that we shouldn't be privy to at this
I
age.
know. I don't want to know it all, right?
Right. I know.
Like,
Heck no. I don't want to know
Yeah,
what my 18-year-old
I
daughter is
know.
talking about with these boys. I have no,
It's
no, no, thank
true.
you. No, no, thank
Yeah,
you. It's like that's too much information, right? And
yeah,
we shouldn't know what they're saying about kissing. Like, and they should be able to talk about kissing with their friends. The problem is ours was all face to face and in notes,
I
right?
know. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Passing notes or,
Yes.
at the end, like at the beginning of, I guess it was maybe the end of high school, beginning of college, the AOL Instant
Yes.
Messenger or like things like that. Now there's doorbell cameras and they can't even sneak out anymore. So
No, and everything's memorialized in a text, in a Snapchat, in
that's
a
also something that like I worry about. Surprise. Like her her footprint, right? So like
yeah,
anything she says, someone can screenshot and there it is. And the middle school drama is just amplified
yep,
because
it
so and
is.
so took a screenshot and sent it to this person and
Yep.
it's not like a three-way call where you mute yourself anymore or
No, it's not, but
yeah,
when we have influence and when we have relationship, we get to
yeah,
say to our kids, like I said to my daughters when they got phones, anything you put out there can be sent to the director of your school.
yeah,
So, and people get kicked out of school for things that they say. So
yeah,
be very mindful about what you're saying online. And we hope that we have enough relationship and influence that they listen to us. But if our relationship is tattered,
straight, yeah,
then they aren't going to listen to what we say because they're mad at us.
yeah. Yeah, and the sneakiness is because, I've made something that she really wants inaccessible, and mostly everybody else has access to it.
Yeah.
It's just really hard. It's hard because
It's
it goes
hard.
against everything I want as a parent for her. But I know that this is a really different um, time that we're in right now, and these young kids are learning to navigate social media and we're kind of doing it right along with them. But I feel like we have the discernment and um, I don't know, just
Yeah.
the
We're
ability to know right from wrong. And they're going to make mistakes, and mistakes are okay. But as a mom, you just feel this overwhelming want to protect your children. But I think in that overwhelm, I've completely pushed her away.
You haven't done it in malice. You haven't done it from a bad place. You've done it from this place of, I want to protect you from the
But in
heart.
her eyes, it's not she doesn't see it that way at all,
Right.
at
And
all.
because of the
So,
way you grew up, you have an extra layer of worry, right?
yeah,
Because you were in
yes,
dangerous situations and your parents weren't around. And so you've gone totally the opposite and said, no, no, I'm going to be here. We're going to have rules. We're going to have boundaries. We're going to, and
yeah,
it's not from a bad place. And
no,
even, and she doesn't know that, but you know that you're
right,
coming from a place of just wanting to protect her. But I think that it's hard to protect somebody in those ways, especially in this stage in their life. The best protection again is the relationship because then we have influence.
yeah, yeah. So if there's a situation now where she's gonna freak out because she's gonna get this back for her birthday, which is what she wanted. But what if there is a situation where something's happened and she is keeping it from us? Like, how do I know when to step in or when to kind of let her figure things out? You know what I mean? I feel
When
like
it's
it's a really
when it's
tough.
ultimately dangerous, you have to step in,
Mhm.
right? When it ultimately is like they're going to really hurt themselves, you have to step in, but we don't step in with a consequence or a boundary or
No.
a limit. We
Yeah.
constantly step in with a curiosity.
Well, I listened
Hey,
to the podcast this morning that you said, like, pointing out what somebody's doing wrong. It doesn't feel good. And so there was a situation where I had yelled at my 7-year-old the other day, and my 13-year-old, about to be 13-year-old, came over to me and was like, "Did you say sorry to him?" And I was like, "What?" And it kind of caught me off guard because I feel like so often I ask my kids, like, well, make sure you say sorry or what did you do wrong? And so when she said that, and then I listened to your podcast, I was like, wow, that really didn't feel good.
Yeah,
Like when somebody points out what you do wrong.
yeah.
And I
Yeah.
never really thought about it. It's not
Mm,
teaching them a lesson at all.
no. But our society has conditioned us so much so that we actually believe pointing someone's wrongdoing out actually teaches them that it's a wrongdoing. Your
No, it feels shameful.
100%. And your kids are moral human beings. They're
Yeah,
already moral. They already know right from wrong. They already understand what's going on in this world because they've been watching you and your husband be moral people for years.
yeah,
And that's all it takes, but it doesn't mean they won't make stupid mistakes.
yeah. But that was like a huge aha moment for me. And
Yes.
another reason why I'm just so grateful for you and your podcast and
Oh,
everything
thank
that you
you.
do. Yeah, absolutely. And was so excited to have this opportunity to talk to you. I just think that it's wonderful, and hope to gain the confidence, through your tools and everything like that to be a more connected parent.
You're
Um,
getting
but
there.
I'm trying. I'm
You're
trying.
getting there. You're getting there. You
It's
see yourself really clearly and you understand yourself. And so that's half of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
um I was just really worried that I would kind of like miss the train, you know?
No way. No way. She's you're gonna be you have, whatever, 40 more years in this relationship with her
Yeah. Yeah.
or
I
more.
just
And
wanna
that's
be
love.
close, like, it's tough, like, I said to you, I think before we started, I told my husband it feels like the worst breakup I've ever been through,
Yeah, sweet
um,
girl.
and it's tough, it's
It
tough.
is. She loves you though. She deeply loves you, and Danielle, she needs you. She
Yeah,
so much needs you. She feels the breakup too, but
yeah,
she's not willing to sacrifice herself.
right,
And so
yeah,
she will sacrifice your relationship for right now, and that's the type that's her temperament. That's my Esme.
yeah,
And so all you can do is really build relationship and you'll get back there.
yeah, yeah,
When she says mean things, it's because she's struggling at school with social situations. It's because she wants to be normal and she doesn't feel normal. And
yeah.
most kids in that age don't feel normal. I didn't feel normal.
I
I felt
know,
like a
it's an
weirdo.
awkward stage anyway, and then you have it
Horrible.
publicized for everybody to see now. Yeah,
Yes, it's
yeah,
horrible. And so every time she lashes out, it's her own inner turmoil. It's not you.
yeah,
It
yeah.
is
I
not
just
you.
wish that I could be the calm in her storm, right? Like, not to sound like cliche, but I just really hope that she and I can get to that place again where she can come to me instead of kind of shutting down and internalizing those things.
She's gonna get there, Danielle. You just gotta build relationship. That's it. It's one easy job.
Yeah. Yeah. And just be persistent, right?
Yep. Don't give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not no matter what she says, no matter what she does, do not give up. Do not think it's personal.
I
Just
know. I was about to say, and don't personalize the rejection. Yeah.
it's hard. It's really hard.
Oh, it's
And
so
you
hard.
keep offering her those hugs. She'll
Yeah.
come around.
Yeah.
She'll come around. You're doing so good actually in all of this. You really are.
I appreciate it. You love the love that you have for your child is immeasurable. And again, I just want her to be okay.
Yeah.
And I I I mean, I don't want to say selfishly, but I want a relationship with her.
Of course you
Um,
do. It's not
yeah,
worth it unless we have relationships with our kids. Why do all this?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, I
But
hope that was helpful and that you can glean some
extremely
things from
helpful
it.
and
Yes.
hopeful, not just
Yeah.
helpful. I really appreciate that.
Good.
And to just kind of gain confidence through talking with you. And yes, thank you
You're
very much.
welcome. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Peace and Parenting podcast. We so appreciate you being here. And thank you, Danielle.